Hey guys, welcome to Handstands Unlocked and this bonus Q&A session. You guys sent in questions to me about handstands and I'm going to answer a few of them right here. So let's jump straight into answering some of these questions. I've got them written out here. And there were quite a lot of questions that came up multiple times, and I'm going to try and answer those first because they seem to be common threads. The first question that came up a lot was, can you explain how to start? Where is a good place to start when learning how to handstand? Advice for someone who is starting. And the first thing I want to say is Handstands Unlocked will cover all of that. It's designed as a foundational program, so if you've never done a handstand before in your life, this is going to be a great place for you to start. I cover all of the elements from the ground up, so if you're looking to start handstands and you're not sure where to begin, Handstands Unlocked is perfect for you. But a great way to begin is just by developing your overall body awareness, and that can come through things like yoga or just any exercise in sport in general. You need to start gaining control over your body and understanding your body. So improve your body awareness through things like yoga or Handstands Unlocked, and you'll find that handstands become less of a daunting challenge for you. The second question is, what is more valuable to learn first, form or strength? Now, I've seen this approached in different ways. The way I like to approach this is by firstly addressing form. Strength is something that some people will have a lot of and some people might struggle with. So by addressing form first, we can start to unpack the biomechanics of our body, figure out how our body moves, why it moves, understanding our particular alignments, and then from there, we can apply the conditioning exercises to build the strength. This program is called Handstands Unlocked because I like to think of it as a metaphor where you have all these doors. Imagine you're standing in a room and there's all these locked doors. When you start to understand your form, your alignment, your body awareness, it's like putting a key in, turning the lock and opening that door. You then walk through and you see all these other different aspects and elements in that room, and you have to train those areas. That's where the strength training comes in. So first you have to unlock the awareness, you have to unlock your handstands, then you have to put in the hard work to train and condition. So my approach is to first work on your form, your technique, your understanding, and then apply it in a practical way where you can build and condition strength. So moving on to the next question, how to keep the willpower to keep going. I always stop after a week or so. This is something that I think is really common, and it's something that I've tried to address in how I've created this program. So typically what tends to happen if you go to a handstand workshop or you learn something online is you get overwhelmed with all this information. Do this, don't do this, have your hands like this, put your feet in the air like this, and you then leave thinking, I know all this stuff, but I don't know how to apply it or train it. And even if you had some great training methods in those workshops, you might not know how to apply that to your own training schedule or your own desires and what you enjoy and don't enjoy. So the way I've structured Handstands Unlocked is I've given you both the knowledge, the technique, and I've also given you the workouts, but all those workouts are designed to be templates. So you're able to take the particular exercises or the overall structure of those workouts and adapt it to your own preferences. If you like a circuit style training workout, but you don't necessarily like the individual moves, you can change them. Just as long as you are tweaking them to suit your needs and what you have to do to progress your handstands, that's all that matters. So my answer to that would be to find a program or a training schedule that you enjoy, but also that addresses your needs. Because if you're not focusing on what your body needs, then you may as well not be doing it at all. You really need to progress, but you have to enjoy what you're doing too. Next question. How do you control your breathing in a handstand? Well, there is a particular tutorial on that, and It's something that I address throughout the program, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. How to prevent wrist injuries. There was a lot of questions about wrists, and I think that that is a question that comes up a lot when people are learning handstands. Your wrists are one of the smallest parts of your body, and you're essentially putting your whole entire body weight on that area. So you have to give it time to develop the strength needed to sustain that. If you've never put weight on your wrists since you were a child, then you can't expect to suddenly hop up into a handstand and not feel it. The main thing is that you learn to distinguish between a good sensitivity and what could be a potentially dangerous sensitivity. If your wrists are just achy and sore after training, that could be a good thing. You're building strength into them, give them time to recover, take it easy, and then come back when they feel good. But if you're feeling a tweak or maybe a sharp impingement in a certain area, maybe there's a strain or a sprain, you need to start addressing that and thinking about how you're placing your hands down. I talk a lot about hand placement in the tutorials. But also what issues might be coming up. There are a lot of things you can do to minimize the risk of injury, but I think a good place to start with general wrist sensitivity is to take the time to condition your wrists, understand the biomechanics of how they move, and then put in the work to start building strength, stability, and resilience into your wrists. And I cover all that in Handstands Unlocked. Tips on how to get perfectly balanced and aligned handstand, how to avoid a banana handstand. So this program is designed to train you to hold a straight handstand. However, in one of the videos I talk about the straight handstand and why and how there's two different ways to look at it. There's a aesthetic approach and a functional approach. The aesthetic approach is strictly about how a handstand looks. It would be saying, I want to hold a straight handstand because I like how it looks, and that's that. The functional approach would be saying, I want to hold a straight handstand, but I want to do it in a way that suits my body, and I understand that it might not look the same as the circus performer I've seen on Instagram or online, and I need to understand my body first to figure out how I can hold a handstand that is the straightest it can be for me. So that is a key component of Handstands Unlocked. It's about figuring out your own individual anatomy, what your body can and can't do, all while striving to hold a straight aligned handstand and move away from that banana back shape. The reason I personally don't like that banana back shape is not because of how it looks. It's because usually it indicates that you don't have control or mastery over your body. You aren't aware of how to engage the particular areas of your body to manipulate and move them into a straight line. So it's not that it looks a certain way, it's that it usually reflects a lack of awareness and control. Where should you place your dristi, so your gaze? Where should you look when you're in a handstand? And I have a video dedicated to this, but generally when you're learning handstands, if your hands are down, initially you want to look in this general region over here. But as you become more advanced, you can play around with dropping your head, looking to the wall behind you, or even tucking up and looking up towards your toes. But initially, look between your fingers. That's roughly where you want to find your dristi. How long does it take to learn? This is a question I get all the time. How long will it take for me to learn how to hold a handstand? And my answer to that is usually, how much time are you prepared to commit to training? Because ultimately, if you're someone who's going to spend hours every day training, you might well get your handstand a lot quicker than someone who only dedicates an hour once a week. So that is the first aspect you need to look at. The second is going to come down to your baseline ability. Basically, how able are you when you start learning? Are you someone who's proficient at yoga? Do you have a high range of flexibility? Do you have a lot of strength already? Are you just naturally gifted? All those elements will come in and determine how quickly you'll be able to learn handstand. So the main thing is just commit. Don't go into it thinking that you need to have this in a month or 2 months or a couple of weeks. Go into it thinking that this is something that I'm going to commit to. I know I'm going to get there. I'm just prepared for this journey and I'm going to stick to it. And eventually you will get it. And once you get it, time's irrelevant. It'll become something that you just integrate into your yoga practice and you'll enjoy it rather than seeing it as an endpoint. How do you transition from the wall? So transitioning from the wall is, once again, a complex thing, because the wall, at least the way that I use the wall when I'm teaching students, is there to condition many things. It's there to train your line, it's there to build endurance, and also to build confidence. So moving away from the wall will depend on a number of factors. Have you built enough strength and endurance to be able to hold a handstand in a stable way for a long period of time? Do you have the necessary awareness and control to be able to hold a handstand? And are you confident enough? Do you know how to safely fall out of a handstand? Are you feeling confident with your feet above your wrists? So once you sort of acknowledge all of those different areas, you can then start to transition away from the wall. And it's something that you should approach all the time. You go into the middle of the room on your mat, maybe at the beach, on the sand, or at the park on the grass, somewhere where you feel safer, not on necessarily a hard floor, and practice kicking up, practice building that confidence. And you'll find that as you do that, as all those elements come together, you'll be able to hold that handstand in the middle of the room. The next thing is that working with a spotter is going to help you build that confidence. So work with a friend or a partner to help you feel confident in the middle of the room to hold that handstand. Once you build the confidence and you know how to fall safely, then you can practice by yourself. Let's make this the last question. How to stabilize your core. So a key component of Handstands Unlocked is what I call the zones of instability. And I've talked about this before. But effectively, you have these areas of your body, your wrists, elbows, shoulders, and so on, that are unstable areas. They move. And you have to understand how to stabilize those areas so that when you're upside down in a handstand, they don't compromise your form and bring you down. So the core or your pelvis is a key zone of instability, and you really have to work those areas to be able to stabilize them so that when you're upside down, you don't have this lack of engagement and control in your pelvis. And your core is a key component when it comes to stabilizing your pelvis. So any of my core workouts I ever teach are going to help you develop a strong and stable core. The exercises can vary from more hollow body positions where you are finding a posterior pelvic tilt to stabilize your pelvis, through to more repetition actions like crunches where you are building a strong abdominal area to be able to basically help your core stabilize your pelvis. So to answer that question, when it comes to stabilizing your core, you have to think about it in relation to the pelvis for handstand. If you have a strong and stable core, your handstand will be strong, stable, and aligned. So in saying that, that was the last question, and I hope you've enjoyed this bonus Q&A session. If you haven't already, please go and make your way through the program Handstands Unlocked. It is going to carry you from beginning to end when it comes to learning or refining your handstands.